Salutations, it's your old power revenge creature, and welcome to Talkin Tuesdays. Yes, I realize today's Wednesday, so this is officially a day late, but I just did get to it last night. But I wanted to go ahead and do it because, for continuity's sake, and just to keep content rolling. Today, I'd like to talk to you about let's call it a hypothetical situation. Let's say in the not too distant future, like next Sunday, AD, there's this guy named Joel. Not too different from you or me. Um, he works at a place called Gizmonic Institute. Just another face in a red jumpsuit. And his bosses, now he did a good job. He did a good job cleaning up the place, but his bosses, they didn't like him. So they shot him into space. Then they're all like, we'll send him cheesy movies. The worst we can find. He'll have to suffer all through them. And then we'll monitor his mind. Now, Joel can't control when the movies begin or end because he used those special parts to make his robot friends. Robot roll call. Cambot, Gypsy, Tom Servo, Crow. Now, if you're wondering how he eats and breathes and other science facts, just repeat to yourself, it's just a show. I should really just relax. For my favorite television show ever, Mystery Science Theater 3000. Twang! Now, if you're familiar with the show, you know it's made a recent comeback to Netflix and for season 11. So let's just revert back to time for a little bit. Let's go back to summer of 89 or 90. It's so hazy because that's just your senior year, you're partying, you're getting ready to do college or whatever your adventure lies before you. So I can't really nail down the year for sure, but it might have been summer of 90. But I was at a friend's house and I came over and she was watching what I would later find out was Mystery Science Theater 3000. It was the episode Side Hackers, which is a season 2 episode. So I'm guessing that it was around the time that episode either first aired or was still early on. And we watched a little bit of it. It seems like I was there for the part, which I don't remember how many times they did this. Not very often, but where they did the little joke like they used to do your TV screen shrink like this and have scores at the bottom, and that's what they did. They do like a little side hacker joke with the scoreboard. And I think I saw that joke during that point. And then I guess just it was a while. I don't remember how long. I know as soon as I saw it, I was like, well, this is good. This is funny. And I can't remember if it was because we didn't have cable out there yet or what, but it was a little bit before I saw it again. And I was watching it on the Comedy Channel, and I was taping it on Comedy Channel. And then I remember when it became Comedy Central. That was when Ha, because we had Ha on our cable network, and then we had the Comedy Channel, and then of course they became Comedy Central. And still couldn't fill a whole day's worth of programming. Anyway, so Mystery Science Theater, if you don't know, that's what that beat poet version of the theme song was earlier. It's about a guy who's shot into space by two mad scientists whose goal is to find the worst movie ever made, release it on an unwitting public, and then he'll rule the world. And it's just that simple. And the concept of the show is based on like the old horror hosts like Elvira and um, well Sven Gulli, who still does stuff. If you have MeTV, you can still tune in and watch Sven Gulli. But that was the concept, and Joel Hodgson was a stand-up comic, and he came up with the concept, and Jim Mallon and Kevin Murphy and Mike Nelson and Bridget Nelson and Mary Jo Pehl and Frank Conniff and Trace Bellew and Jeff Maynard and Bees McKeever and so many other people came together back. And Kevin, I said Kevin, right? I would hate if I left any of the main cast out. What an ass. Um, um, oh, um, J. Elvis Weinstein, who was the first sidekick, one of the early writers, original Tom Servo voice. Anyway, they came together. They created the show on KTMA, uh, and it ran for a few episodes, and it caught on, and then the big boys came knocking, and they won. They did it for cable, which that's that's so funny because it's basically the same equivalent of a hometown band getting signed to a major label. And it was on Comedy Central. It had they were Joel was the host for 5 seasons, and then Mike Nelson, one of the head writers, or the head writer, came on midway through season 5 and became the new host. Joel was able to escape from the satellite of love. And then Mike hosted the show on Comedy Central from the middle end of season 5 till they did the end of season 7, which is a truncated season. But that at that point we thought the show was gone, and that was 95, and then it came back in '97 on Sci-Fi Channel. Whoops. And I've told the story before about how I went to the special edition premiere of Star Wars, that special edition trilogy. And when I got home, I was able to watch a taped version of the premiere, Sci-Fi Channel premiere of Mystery Science Theater 3000, where Mike and the Bots, at the end of the Comedy Central era, had basically pulled the 2001 and become pure energy, pure light. Except Crow got bored and came back and stayed on the satellite for 500 years by himself, and he matured into a bitter crow, a little more cynical than he was. But Mike and Gypsy and Tom Servo and Gambot, I guess, all come back to the satellite, and they find themselves above Earth. The satellite's still in orbit, and now it's thousands of years in the future. Mankind is gone. Apes have evolved, and now it's Deep Ape instead of Deep 13, I believe is what they called it, which is where the mad scientists were in the original series. And then Pearl, which she made her appearance at the end of sometime in season 6, I think, as Dr. Forrester's mom. Dr. Forrester and TV's Frank were the main villains after J. Elvis Weinstein left the show. His character, Dr. Earhart, left. Dr. Forrester, played by Trace Bellew, the main mad scientist, and then TV's Frank, played by Frank Conniff, was his assistant. And those two were they just as integral characters as Darth Vader and the Emperor are to Star Wars. I mean, they're just the play off those two was almost better than the way the humans would play off the bots, Mike and Joel. I mean, some of that Dr. Forrester and Frank stuff, some of the best stuff, or some of my favorite stuff. That's why I've got my Deep 13 green on here. Um, so then Pearl took over, and they had thawed her out, and she was now the lawgiver. And then, a la I forget which Planet of the Apes movie it is, but they find a bomb. So they do the same thing where they find the civilization that worships an atomic bomb. They blow up the entire Earth. Bobo makes it out. Then I think the next people they come in contact with are the observers, and that's a play on something I think that was in Star Trek, and that's these three pale faced guys in purple robes, and they have their brains in pans, and they're godlike beings, only they're childish, petty, and kind of dumb. And so through plot situations, Mike ends up destroying that planet as well. So he's helped destroy ancient Earth, and he's destroyed the Observer's homeworld. So now Pearl and Bobo, Professor Bobo, played by Kevin Murphy, and Pearl, which is Mary Jo Pehl, and the Observer, which is Bill Corbett. He's also doing the new Crow voice for Sci-Fi Channel, and so she pursues them through time and space. And then Joel makes an appearance on an episode called Soul Taker. Um, and then they finally escape. The satellite crashes to Earth in the season finale or series finale in 1999. The episode was Laser Blast, right? I believe. And at that end of that, the Mike and the bots have an apartment. It looks like a basement apartment somewhere together, and the show ends with them watching the first KTMA movie, The Crawling Eye, or what's considered episode one. Not KTMA, but episode one um, of the series proper, season one. They're watching it on TV, and it kind of zooms out with them on the couch in their same silhouette positions. So that was it. Then at some point, I think the first thing we got was the film crew, which was Kevin Murphy, who'd been Tom, and Professor Bobo, and Mike Nelson, who had played Mike Nelson, and one of the observers as well, and different characters throughout the show, but mainly known as the host and writer. And Bill Corbett, who did Crow, and Brain Guy. The three of them started something called the Film Crew, and it was very similar to Mystery Science Theater, only I don't believe they didn't do the silhouettes either. I think it was just a voiceover. And I think they did 4 or 5 of those, and I think those were either online kind of deals or straight to video or straight to DVD. And I've got 1 or 2 of them, and I've seen them, and they're good. The host segments aren't quite as, what's the word I'm looking for? Not obsequious. They're esoteric. They're not quite as esoteric as some of the skits were on the Satellite of Love on Mystery Science Theater, but it was still pretty good. And then after that, I can't remember if I think Cinematic Titanic either sprung up right after Riff Tracks or in that gap between the Film Crew and Riff Tracks, but Riff Tracks, which they've been going strong for years, and they've been turning out constant content, and they do live shows, and I've actually been to 2 or 3 of the live shows. I went to, I think, Plan 9, or maybe Plan 9 was let's see. I've been to some at the Billcourt Theater, so whichever ones were there. Night of the Living Dead, maybe, Reefer Madness, Plan 9. I think those are the ones I saw live. And then they do the theater broadcast where you can go through Fathom events and see them at different theaters. But anyway, they see the live broadcast. And I went to some of those as well. So Cinematic Titanic, Riff Tracks was the same thing as the Film Crew. They just changed the name to Riff Tracks, basically. Same crew, Bill, Mike, Kevin. So Cinematic Titanic was practically everybody else. Joel, Frank, Mary Jo, Bridget, I believe, was there. Frank, Trace. I think even Jay Elvis was there, and then and they did the silhouettes because I think Joel might have had something to do with the Shadowrama, which is what the way they called it. And Cinematic Titanic did tour. I never got to any of those. I wish I had, man. That would have been great. And then they did movies, and they had a silhouette where like they were on the sides of the screen, staggered up like this. Whoops. Guess I should point up more like that. It was like this. Anyway, and it was like they were on steps, and they did the live commentary like the bots and Mike and Joel did in Mystery Science Theater days. And then there was a Mystery Science Theater reunion show, and then last year they did the Kickstarter. I think it was last year, it might have been the year before. But they did the Kickstarter and raised so much money that we were able to get 14 new episodes. And we have an all new cast. We have all new voice actors for the bots. We have a new satellite. This is set up where our Mads are Kinga Forrester, played by Felicia Day, and she is the daughter of Dr. Forrester, granddaughter of Pearl Forrester. And then Patton Oswalt plays Max, who is the TV son of TV's Frank. Only they keep wanting to call him Max. I don't know why they don't just let that joke go, because that's the whole thing. If he's going to be TV's son of TV's Frank, just call him TV's son of TV's Frank. But anyway, and then there, let's see, Jonah plays, it's Heston, Jonah Heston, yeah. And then he's like the new Joel, and then Hampton Yount, I think. You'll have to forgive me because I'm still getting to know these new actors' names, and Hamilton Yount, maybe. I'm sorry. I really feel silly that I didn't research that. Which kind of brings me to the whole point of this video. Now we're at Netflix, season 11 of Mystery Science Theater 3000. Is it good? Okay, I haven't seen all the episodes. I've only seen, I think, the first 6. And one of them took me about 3 days to get through. I think it was Avalanche, because I just didn't. I don't know what it was about that one. That movie, I guess, maybe. I don't know. I'm not sure. Um, so it feels right. It looks right. But I feel there are some issues with the show, and some of the problems are personal, my own issues, and some I feel are overall issues that, um, in an argument, that you would be able to prove logically. But we're not arguing. I'm just stating this is my opinion. Um, I kind of feel they're trying too hard, almost, with the riffing. I feel that, now, like I said, I haven't seen all of them, but the first few that I've seen, I feel like there are parts where I'm just like, whoa, okay, just take a minute. The jokes don't feel as organic as they should sometimes when you're riffing like that. It just feels like you're reading off a script, or that you're just waiting for the next, um, joke to come up. They don't feel as organic as, they did. Next, Gypsy's new voice. It's the same thing when they changed Tom's voice, or when Crow's voice changed. But changing Gypsy's voice, to me, changes part of her character. So since it's a new satellite of love, I'm just gonna pretend it's new Gypsy, or tell myself it's a new Gypsy, because the other Gypsy's still on Earth, um, doing whatever in that continuity. Originally, I believe she invested in some kind of startup. So this is, I'm just gonna say it's a new Gypsy, because it's a new satellite of love, clearly, because the other one crashed, and you can tell when they're going through the doors, it's a new hallway sequence. Well, I'm not crazy about her voice. It's fine that they did that, and I understand why. Uh, but it's not like the show didn't have a strong female voice to start with. I mean, Pearl Forrester, Felicia Day, and in the early days, even though there weren't that many appearances by the ladies, they wrote a lot of great jokes. I mean, the from Teenagers Out of Space, that the Breakfast at Tiffany's hat reference was either Bridget or Mary Jo. I think it might have been Mary Jo, but that was like the first joke they wrote for the show. So they were there from the beginning. So I kind of understand. My concern, and this is silly, and I don't mean to offend anybody, or I just want discussion. I don't want to argue. I don't want to turn this into some kind of PC, non PC thing by saying this, but by saying that, obviously, I am going to do that. I'm afraid they changed her voice, because when she talked like this, that maybe made her seem dumb, even though she was probably the smartest of everybody. She was just kind of more childish, I guess. And maybe people were like, "Well, you can't have a woman. She's so stupid. All women are so stupid. If you portray a robot like that, that just means all women are dumb." I mean, I don't know if that's why they did it. I don't know if there was even a hint of that. But to me, just in the times we live in, I feel like that might have been a concession they made. Could be wrong. I could be wrong. I want to be wrong. But then if I'm wrong, why they do it? Because it's just not. I don't know. I prefer Gypsy the way she is. But then again, that's my bag. That's my problem. I don't know if that's necessarily something that you can back up with empirical evidence that hey, this was changed was bad. You know. Let's see. The movies they've picked surprised me. You know, Star Crash. I was surprised to see that. Um, I think that so far, Time Travelers has felt the most like a classic MST movie, at least something that they would watch on Sci-Fi Channel. I know Reptilicus had the big monster, but it didn't feel. Maybe it did feel like when they should have done back then. Anyway, I'm really rambling. I didn't really script this, and I probably should have, because I've probably already made points that I've touched on and bounced off of. But I need to finish watching the show. At this point, it's hard to judge it as a continuation of Mystery Science Theater, the original at least. I really feel it's like anytime you've got a long established history of something, it's like the Star Wars prequels. You know, it's like the people who like them, it's not because they're dumb for liking something that's I find inferior. It's just different. It's just different. So is it bad? No, hell no. It's Mystery Science Theater. Don't sit here and not finish this video thinking that I've got a beef with it. I'm gonna finish the series, and I'm probably gonna end up watching it multiple times. And actually, I've already laughed outside of watching the show just in recollection. See, I've watched Mystery Science Theater religiously for so many years. I mean, there was a time in my life where I'd probably watch one or two episodes a day because I had them all on VHS, from recording, and then the DVD started coming out, and well, first the Rhino VHS came out. That's when I worked at Real Collections, the video store in the mall. Uh, I remember when we had those, and when we got those first three, I think it was it Cave Dwellers, Pod People, and the Amazing Colossal Man, maybe. And I used to play the crud out of them in the store because we could play movies, and I would play them every one of my shifts. But anyway, it's just gonna be, it's not fair to judge it against the original series. I don't think, because then you end up sounding like someone who's bashing it just because it's different or new. I have my problems with it. I do feel like some of the riffing in these first episodes doesn't feel organic and it feels rushed. And I think some of the jokes, some of the jokes, especially between Felicia and Patton, I feel they're trying to recreate that Dr. Forrester Frank vibe. And there was a lot of times where they did that corny vaudeville, 70s sitcom kind of humor, even stuff that went into the 90s, like some of the stuff you'd find on Full House. Those kind of lame jokes that would get a chuckle because of the dynamic between those two, but I just don't think those two have the same chemistry. I just feel like that they haven't settled into the characters yet, and I think only after 5 or 6 years of watching them interact would I truly be able to enjoy them on the same level. So, Mystery Science Theater 3000, Season 11, watch it, make your own decision. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. How long have you been a fan? What was your favorite episode? Have you seen the riff tracks live? Are you excited about the fact that Manos is getting a sequel? I love Mystery Science Theater. It's been a part of my life since, like I said, probably 1990. And that's a long time. Well, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. My ramblings talking about my favorite television show ever. It's influenced my daily life. I can't get through a day without riffing some situations. So thank you to that. Thank you to Joel and all the guys and Mike and everybody else behind the scenes and all the great people that donated to the Kickstarter. I'd like to give a shout out to Deanna Dolphin, who runs the Mystery Singles Theater page on Facebook. It's like if you're single and you like Mystery Science Theater, get on there and mingle. It's pretty cool. I'm on there. Well, thanks for watching. I'm your old pal Revenge Creature. Be sure to like, subscribe, share the video, leave me a comment, follow me on Instagram and Twitter. That's at @dashing_skull. You can find the other members of the International Nerd Team here on YouTube. Links in the comments below or in the description below. International Nerd Team is at nerdteam_int. That's Twitter. Thanks for watching, and as always, OSQUINOXO!